When our values are under assault, when our sovereignty is invaded, when our Constitution is in tatters, when political correctness is on the march, it's time to mobilize. The war of ideas has begun. Welcome to the Arsenal. Welcome to the Kris Kobach Show.
I can't believe the news today.
I really can't believe the news today. Okay, so the very same week that Barack Obama's administration is releasing dangerous, criminal, illegal aliens onto the streets, aliens who will not show up for their removal proceedings, aliens who will continue to commit crimes against Americans, the very same, really the same day, I mean, within a day of doing that, because, you know, we have to, that's what has come to with this sequester. We are we've got to cut so deeply that we don't have the money to keep these prisoners in their prison beds at $75 a night. We don't have that money. The very same day or day after it, the president also, through his Justice Department, files an amicus brief in the United States Supreme Court in a case in which the United States is not a party. And that is what an amicus brief is. You're a friend of the court. You're not a defendant or a plaintiff. You are an amicus party. Amicus curiae, friend of the court. Well, and what was this case? It was the gay marriage case of California's Proposition 8. So he's got Justice Department lawyers going out doing extracurricular work. There is no need for the U.S. government to file an amicus brief in this case. But the Obama administration is so committed to gay marriage now that they're having our attorneys that you and I pay, having them do work in cases where the United States is not a party. You follow me? So that's okay. Yeah, we got a sequester coming, and we're going to have to cut all unessential government services. Oh, but yeah, we'll keep on filing amicus briefs, and we'll keep on working on that Proposition 8 case, even though the United States is not defending any federal law in that case, and even though the United States is not a party in the case, we'll have our Department of Justice resources be used there. Interesting. So it just shows the hollowness and the absolute hypocrisy of this administration. You know, the Justice Department can go do just completely unnecessary things because it fits the president's political agenda. But the Department of Homeland Security, yeah, they have to go to the extreme, absolute desperation measure of releasing criminals onto the streets because, hey, there's no other alternative. It's just the irony, the hypocrisy is so thick. It is deafeningly loud. It is so, it's insane. Okay, so let's talk about the president's Justice Department brief in the gay marriage case. So this is the challenge to California's Proposition 8 that a majority of Californians supported in the 2008 ballot issue, defining marriage as a union between one man and one woman. Oh, and by the way, California is a very lenient state that defines marriage traditionally because they have civil unions giving all of the legal rights of marriage except the title of marriage to gay couples. So, you know, gay couples in California have it about as good as you can get in terms of not having not having full-on gay marriage, but still having all of the legal benefits. They have gay civil unions. Just the title. They want the title. They're going for that last. They don't want 99%. They want 100%. In California. And here the Obama administration is joining in. Why am I troubled by this? Well, first of all, it's wrong, legally wrong, to claim that there is any discrimination. It's an equal protection claim they're making. To claim that there's any discrimination, constitutionally speaking, with respect to the state definition of marriage in the traditional way. Second reason is that the president is saying the argument in the president's brief is that the reason California and 38 other states, a total of 39 states, have chosen traditional marriage, and the vast majority of them by a popular vote is because of irrational prejudice. Yeah, you heard me. The president's brief argues that all of us in states that have adopted constitutional amendments defining marriage the traditional way it's been defined for centuries, one man, one woman, those voters, including you and me, we acted out of irrational prejudice if we voted for traditional marriage. That is the position in the Obama brief, because they're basically saying, they're trying, I won't get into the real deep legal weeds of this, but their argument is that it is discriminatory, which in and of itself is a bad argument. That it's somehow treating someone unequally to say that marriage retains its traditional definition, and we won't redefine marriage for you. But secondly, they're arguing that if you accept the premise that it is discrimination against homosexuals to define marriage the way it's been defined ever since the beginning of time, then discriminating against homosexuals is discriminating against a discrete and insular minority, which is a legal term. Basically, homosexuality is an immutable characteristic, and on and on and on. And this is a discriminatory form. This is actual discrimination. And then they have to argue to win. The Obama administration position has to say there is no legitimate reason. There is no compelling reason, compelling public interest for marriage to be defined the way it's been defined since the beginning of time. There's no compelling public interest for that. And so what they say is the reason that the states, including you and me, the reason that the voters in these states voted to define marriage traditionally was out of irrational prejudice. That's right. If you voted on the Missouri side or on the Kansas side for the traditional definition of marriage when that was on the ballot a few years ago, you did it out of irrational prejudice. So says Eric Holder and, by extension, the president in the Department of Justice brief. Oh, yeah, and here's a third reason this bothers me a little bit. Not that I ever took the president seriously at his word, but just a year ago, the president said, quote, "I continue to believe that this is an issue that's going to be worked out at the local level, because historically this has not been a federal issue. What's recognized as a marriage," end quote. Here's another quote. Same time last year. "I think it is a mistake to try to make what has traditionally been a state issue into a national issue," end quote. Well, he was essentially saying, let the states decide, each to his own. Now the president is saying, oh, it is a national issue. Yeah, we're making a federal constitutional claim, and every state needs to recognize gay marriage, which is the essence of this argument, that the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment requires every state to legalize gay marriage. What, you say? You didn't know that the drafters and ratifiers of the 14th Amendment in the 1860s were thinking about gay marriage? Well, neither did I, now that you mention it. But that's what it's come to now. The Obama administration taking the ACLU line yet again in court, and of course doing it during the sequester crisis when every item of government expenditure is being scrutinized. Is it absolutely necessary? And yes, apparently the Obama administration has decided it's absolutely necessary to file an amicus brief, a friend of the court brief, and a party in a case in which the administration is not a party. What do you think? 576-7710. Am I wrong? Here on KCMO Talk Radio 710. Let's go to the first call. Scott in Northeast Kansas City. Hey, Scott, you're on with Kris Kobach. What do you think?
Well, I want to bring up something to you and get your point of view on it. It's something I've never heard brought up. Doesn't have to immediately do with what you're talking about, but I didn't watch the last presidential State of the Union no more than I could care to watch a YouTube video on how sausage is made.
Okay, my feelings exactly, but go ahead.
Yeah, I know it's probably your job to watch that.
I prefer to, just FYI, I prefer to read them after the fact when Obama delivers it, because I just can't. It's just such a waste of time watching them stand up and applaud, and you could read the thing in like 5 minutes rather than spending an hour watching it. But go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I understood that he had, and I am sympathetic to people of, victims of gun violence. He had those people there. I know people of gun violence, victims of gun violence. And as well, he had let's call them undocumented immigrants.
Sure. Yeah, we've got to honor the illegal alien for his great nobility and all he contributes to American society. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but here is where the irony intertwines. On one hand, what they wish to do is to make citizens who have double stock, extended mags, register those, and so everybody knows where they're at, what they have, where they have it, and subject to inspection or confiscation, and if you don't turn them in, destroy them, whatever, you are a criminal, you are a felon. Okay, on that hand, and on the other hand, they're willing to overlook the other people who are the undocumented immigrants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll vigorously enforce the law, and we'll even invent some new laws, or we'll take executive action against you gun-owning, Bible-toting Midwesterners who, like your so-called Second Amendment. But yeah, illegal alien, yeah, welcome. And here, by the way, here are the keys to your cell. Yeah.
So that's the irony there, nobody's ever pointed that out.
That's a very good point, and it illustrates it is reminiscent of a third world dictator, is it not? Who uses the law to punish his political friends and to punish his political enemies and to favor his political friends. And of course, Obama has always used the immigration issue as a political cudgel, and he's trying to use the gun issue the same way. But, he's probably figured that, those of us who cherish our Second Amendment rights and believe that it's important to this country, we aren't going to vote for him, so may as well punish us. And illegal aliens, well, he probably takes the Barney Frank line that illegal aliens, when they are given amnesty, will eventually vote Democrat. So, those are potential future political allies.
Yeah, and he can, just like Daley in Chicago, who's got his voting block, he can have his national voting block and game over, checkmate.
And of course, it just seems like this president, he's constantly rewarding his political friends and punishing his enemies. And even the gay marriage issue. I mean, this is, the homosexual lobby, as it were, has been a big ally of the president. Why did the president feel compelled to change his position? When he first was elected, he was saying, it's a state issue. He even made some statements that were somewhat, somewhat lukewarm about gay marriage. Now he's all for it. He's not enforcing federal law, that requires the federal government to treat, gay couples differently than traditionally married couples under, that's the Defense of Marriage Act. He's
who will ever have a chance to question him on that?
Well, I mean, that won't be, he's been questioned, to the extent we are questioning him in talk radio.
I mean, directly.
Yeah, no, not directly. You're right. And he's refusing to defend this federal law, something every Justice Department does, is defends laws even the president who's currently in the office doesn't like. And so he's just breaking all the rules, and now he's spending our money writing an amicus brief in a case where the U.S. isn't even a party, and he's doing it to, again, show he's got what it takes for the gay rights political community, saying, look, I'm giving you guys payback. That's what I think's happening here. It's like he's going to show them that, yeah, they've made an investment in a president who's going to go above and beyond. Yeah, never mind that we're in a sequester period. He's going to go do things that the federal government doesn't even have to do for the gay rights movement. And this isn't a gay right, by the way. There's no right to enter into a relationship anyway, to redefine marriage is what the point is.
Well, then what happens when other people say, well, I've got two wives and I want my rights?
Yeah,
when a man says, I have a husband and I have a wife and I want them both? Or what happens when...
Well, your argument is exactly right. Then those people should be equally, the argument goes, those people should be equally entitled to redefine marriage. If marriage can be redefined from one woman, one man to one man, then marriage could also be redefined to two women, three men. I mean, if the definition of marriage is not a legal fixed point and can be redefined for any reason and declining to redefine it is considered discrimination, then you're exactly right. The same argument applies.
I mean, where does it go? I mean, you know, can I dress up a chicken and call it my wife? I mean, it's just, you know, if they have their rights, then somebody else has their rights, and somebody else has their rights. Then some 68-year-old man can have a mail-order boy bride from Czechoslovakia who's only 17 years old. I mean, it gets crazy.
Well, it does get crazy, and that's why you have to begin to rationally analyze this, legally speaking. You have to begin with, look, marriage has a fixed meaning, and a gay person already has the right to marry, but he chooses not to do it because marriage is entering into a relationship with someone of the opposite sex, one person of the opposite sex. That's what marriage is defined as historically and legally, constitutionally in 39 of the states. And so no one's denying that person the right to marry. They just choose not to do it because marry has that meaning. And so they are saying, well, then you're discriminating against me because I want to change your state's historical and legal definition of marriage. And that's just a ludicrous argument. I don't have the right to change the definition of treason because someone accuses me of treason and I just, you know, I want to not be guilty of it. I don't have the right to change legal definitions and say you're discriminating against me if I can't.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a cudgel. Racism, discrimination.
Well, isn't it interesting how just about every issue in this administration, if you're against the president, you're racist or discriminatory, or you're a hater, or you're against, you know, you're against somebody. You're discriminating. You're like the KKK if you oppose the president.
You're a Tea Partier.
Yeah, Tea Partiers, same thing. Yeah, Tea parties are racist too, under this president's view of the world, or at least under his spokespeople's view of the world.
Well, did you one other thing? Did you have anything to do with the whatever legislation's going on in Kansas with having to take a drug test if you get some kind of HUD housing, or I don't know about HUD housing, but food stamps or?
I was not involved in the drafting of that one. But we're going to be talking about some Kansas legislation. There's some good stuff going on under the Capitol Dome in Topeka. We may not get to it today, but if not, we'll probably get to it on next week's show.
And can I ever hear if there's ever some kind of legislation where you have to show that you're a legal? I mean, somehow or another over here, people who are not citizens somehow wind up buying vehicles, somehow wind up getting apartments, somehow wind up with food stamps, somehow wind up.
That's why over 70% of illegal aliens are using of illegal alien households are using one, or with children are using one or multiple forms of welfare. So yeah, it's imagine that breaking the law to get into this country, and they break the law in seeking access to welfare too. Or government benefits of one form or another, or at least, you know, there may be some that they are actually legally getting. It depends on each state.
And how can that?
States like California, you can get it
weeded out and stopped.
It requires states to actually police themselves and stop giving public benefits to illegal aliens. And of course, most states want to look the other. Most bureaucrats in these states are liberal people who'd rather look the other way. That's the short answer to it. But hey, Scott, we got to take a break. I appreciate the questions. All right, folks, we'll keep talking about this when we return. The Obama administration got no money to keep dangerous illegal aliens in prison, but they do have your money to have the Justice Department write unnecessary legal briefs in cases in which the U.S. is not a party. Let's talk about it. 576-7710 here on the Kris Kobach Show on KCMO Talk Radio 710.
KCMO Talk Radio, where Kansas City connects with a Dave Ramsey Show.
First mistake people do is they don't go get a will. Then the second mistake is when they get a will, they keep everything secret. This reading of the will in the attorney's office, and people are cut in or out of the will that were unexpected. You know why it's in the movies? It's a good drama.
Dave Ramsey, weekdays 9 to 11 a.m. on KCMO Talk Radio 710, now FM at 103.7. Talk in Kansas City. KCMO Talk Radio 710, now on FM at 103.7. KCMO Talk Radio 710, and now on FM at 103.7. 103.7. Get connected to Kansas City's talk station, AM, FM, and online at KCMOTalkRadio.com.
Are you ready to be entertained while getting healthy? Then tune in to Green Acres Health Talk with Brett, Matt, and Shannon for the latest hot topics, exciting interviews, and innovative products at its new time, Saturdays at 2, right here on KCMO.
Hey, this is Greg Knapp for Certa Pro Painters. Now, I just had Certa Pro in my house. I enjoyed the entire process. Let me tell you why. First, they came in and we went over the project. We picked the colors. Then they started asking me questions. Hey, where would you like our painters to park? Where would you like them to clean their brushes? They actually cared about what was important to me, and they worked around my nap schedule. Oh, I loved it. Now, the painters were professional. Check them out online. It's CertaPro.com. CertaPro.com for the Certa Pro painters. Get them to come in and do to your house what they did to mine. Hey, they can do the outside too. It's Certa Pro Paint.
Call Dalton Brothers Restoration for small repairs, kitchen and bathroom renovations, painting, and more.
Hi, I'm Mike Dalton. The hot summer weather this year has caused the ground to pull away from the foundations of many homes, allowing water to enter. We specialize in repairing water damage.
Mention this ad and get a free consultation and save 10% off your next project.
Dalton Brothers Restoration, serving Johnson County and the KC area. Online at DaltonBrosRestoration.com. Call 816-616-7667.
Cut your payments in half with a low fixed rate in the twos. Only at A1 Mortgage can you get a low fixed rate in the twos, zero out-of-pocket closing costs, and have your loan closed in about a week. We only offer real-time rates. What does this mean for you? No inflated markup, which gives you the lowest rate possible. Call A1 Mortgage now, 816-822-8888. Whatever your needs are, we have the loan for you. FHA, VA, USDA, or conventional. Your loan will be processed right here, saving you time and money. Call A1 Mortgage now and start saving hundreds each month and thousands every year. Get a low fixed rate in the twos and zero out-of-pocket closing costs. 816-822-8888. That's 822-8888. Or apply online at mya1mortgage.com.
A1 Mortgage, making your dreams a reality is what we do.
A1 Mortgage Group LLC, a Kansas licensed mortgage company, license number MC0001649, NMLS 268370. Programs and rates subject to change without notice.
Fiscal cliff, budget sequester, what's next? Got any confidence that Washington is going to create new economic opportunities for you? No. You want to secure your own future, you have to do it yourself. And Centric Training, Kansas City's leading IT training company, can help you. Technology is the future of our economy, and the demand for IT professionals in Kansas City is stronger than it's ever been. Centric has trained IT professionals for over 20 years. Centric knows the technology job skills that Kansas City companies are looking for, and only Centric can train you in those job skills in just 4 months, because Centric's program is real-world, hands-on technology training. Don't wait 4 more years for change when you can change in just 4 months. Call Centric today, 913-322-7007. That's 913-322-7007. Or go to Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com. IT is the future of business. Centric can make it your future.
KCMO Talk Radio is Michael Savage.
Wrong.
Weekdays 8 to 11 on KCMO Talk Radio 710 and 103.7 FM.
Administration to weigh in on the gay marriage case involving Proposition 8 when the government's not even a party. Let's go back to the phones on this. Blair in Kansas City. Hey, Blair, you're on with Kris Kobach. What do you think?
Hi. I was a little curious as to why, when we're discussing people's equal rights under the 14th Amendment at that, why things like gun control and immigration are coming up when we're talking about U.S. citizens that are law-abiding, good citizens, and why they wouldn't be able to claim that they have equal protection.
Well, they do have the equal right to get married. It's just they don't have the right, which means to marry someone of the opposite sex. They don't have the right, however, to redefine marriage.
Well, and I guess that's where I'm a little confused, because honestly, I mean, yes, you look at ancient deals, and back in the 1860s when they made.
Hey, Blair, can you hang on? Can you hang on through the break? Because I'm sorry, we've got a real short segment. Okay, we'll come right back to you, Blair, after this break. You're listening to the Kris Kobach Show on KCMO Talk Radio 710.
The KCMO Morning Show with Greg Knapp.
Michelle Obama giving out the Best Picture Award. She had a sleeveless dress on, and the Iranian news agency Fars did a write-up. But when they showed a photo of her, they covered her up. They photoshopped sleeves on her and a higher neckline. Iranian media restrictions.
Don't miss out. Listen to the KCMO Morning Show with Greg Knapp. Weekday mornings from 5 till 9 on KCMO Talk Radio 710. And now 103.7 FM.
Fox News Radio, I'm Jane Metzler. After a house collapsed into a massive sinkhole in Hillsborough County, Florida, killing a man, are other homes safe?
Those houses are still being evaluated, but the approach is no. It's underground, it's unseen, and we're uncertain as what's under there, so we'll be very cautious going in.
County Public Works Director John Lyons choosing the next pope, Washington Cardinal Donald Wuerl, ahead of Monday's meeting preparing for the conclave.
This person has to be on fire with the Spirit.
I asked Cardinal Wuerl how important it would be, too, for the new pope to be able to handle some of the Curia infighting, some of the scandals that have plagued the church, and he said, yes, that is equally important, but he believes a good new pope will be able to delegate someone to deal with all the bureaucratic matters.
Fox's Amy Kellogg, Queen Elizabeth canceling a trip to Rome. She's hospitalized with a stomach bug. Fox News, we report, you decide.
Your KCMO forecast from KCTV5.
Mostly cloudy skies tonight with temperatures falling through the 30s this evening. We'll drop to a low of 33 by sunrise Monday morning. Mostly cloudy as we start out the work week with a high of 45 on Monday afternoon. We have a 30% chance for rain showers on Monday evening and just a light wintry mix or a few light snow showers Monday night. I'm KCTV5 meteorologist Tom Walks.
KCMO Talk Radio 710 and now on FM at 103.7. 103.7. Get connected to Kansas City's talk station, AM, FM, and online at KCMOTalkRadio.com.
Attention all healthcare professionals. Is your practice accepting new patients? If so, listen to this opportunity. Cumulus Media, the owner of this radio station, is publishing and distributing 50,000 free local medical guides in the Kansas City area. This is a great opportunity for you to attract new patients. Make sure your practice is included. For all the details, call John Gallagher at 913-514-3130. That's 913-514-3130.
Hey, this is Greg Knapp, and if you need windows, you need my guys at Window World. They're simply the best for less, and they're the original $189 window guys. Now, you know they're one of the few companies that do windows with the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. They're number one with J.D. Power & Associates for overall customer satisfaction, and number one in number of windows sold in the country by Qualified Remodeler magazine, because they do it right. You know, you can get references from people in your neighborhood about the work they've done. Yeah, here's what Window World wants to do. They want to show you how to earn up to a $500 tax credit for your home improvement project. You just call them today, set up a free in-home estimate, and learn the details on the 2013 tax credit. And tell them Greg Knapp told you to call. It's 816-799-0820. 816-799-0820 or windowworldkc.com. Now, don't forget to ask them about the $500 tax credit. And get it done before you keep losing all of your heat right out your windows. 816-799-0820 or Window World.
If you are looking for a better financial investment to protect your retirement, listen every Sunday at 1 p.m. to Retirement Wealth Talk Radio, a one-of-a-kind radio talk show aimed at protecting your assets. Listen for great news each and every week, Sundays at 1 p.m. on KCMO Talk Radio.
Hi, this is Mary Woody, Business Development Manager for Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines. Are you ready to experience the vacation of a lifetime? Cruise Holidays of Kansas City and Royal Caribbean are here to offer you some of this year's best values. Whether you're looking for the Caribbean, Alaska, Bermuda, or the beautiful Mediterranean, Royal Caribbean's got it all. Don't miss out on the two largest ships in the world, the Oasis of the Seas and the Allure of the Seas, both featuring the DreamWorks experience, ice skating rings, and magnificent Broadway musicals. Trust the experts and call Cruise Holidays today. Cruise Holidays is celebrating their 25th year in business, and with travel experts like that, you know you're in good hands. Call Cruise Holidays today at 816-505-1500. That's 816-505-1500. And tell them you want a Royal Caribbean cruise. It's time to get away, and Cruise Holidays of Kansas City and Royal Caribbean say, the sea is calling. Answer it royally.
KCMO Talk Radio 710. And now 103.7 FM. He's the ACLU's worst nightmare, because he knows the Constitution and fights to keep them from making confetti of it. He's Kris Kobach, and this is the Kris Kobach Show.
Welcome back to the Kris Kobach Show here on KCMO Talk Radio 710, where the number is 576-7710. You can dial that 913 or 816 area code. If you're just joining us, we've been talking about the Obama administration's curious decision to file an amicus brief. Not entirely unexpected, I must admit, but a curious decision to file an amicus brief in a case where the United States is not a party. It's the case challenging California's Proposition 8, which defines marriage as a union of one man, one woman, approved by popular majority of the people of California in a constitutional amendment ballot issue in 2008. And the Obama administration says there's no explanation for the vote of the people of California other than irrational prejudice, irrational animus toward homosexuals. That is the essence of the Obama administration's brief. So we're talking about it, and here with us to staying on the air with us through the break is Blair in Kansas City. Hey, Blair. So anyway, you were saying you had a question about this. Go ahead.
Yes, no, I was just curious as to why you think that people that are American citizens and abide by, the American Constitution and whatnot and all that good stuff, why they aren't entitled necessarily to enjoy the luxuries of marriage and the things that other people, and I guess my question is where the definition is in the Constitution or any other federally legal document that says that marriage is between a man and a woman.
Well, the definition is not in the U.S. Constitution. It's in the state constitutions of the vast majority of the states. And the marriage is, of course, obviously traditionally been defined as one man, one woman. And so the question isn't, do you not have a right to it? Of course, a gay person has the right to marry someone of the opposite sex, but they choose not to exercise it. Just like a person who hates guns has the right to purchase and use a firearm for defense of oneself, but chooses not to exercise it. And an atheist has the right to practice a religion, but chooses not to exercise. So there are all kinds of rights that we choose not to exercise. And my point about redefining it is it's the same argument could be made for a polygamist. Someone, who wants to marry 2 or 3 members of the opposite sex, and it's all consensual, everybody's agreeing to it. They can't do it because marriage isn't defined that way, and they can't say, well, you're discriminating against me and my wives because you don't let me redefine marriage. That's just not the definition of marriage in Kansas or Missouri or any other state.
And right, but there's absolutely no reason that you can't have an open debate or, a case going up against or with the Supreme Court that says let's not redefine it necessarily, but let's interpret it differently. Let's interpret it with a little bit more modern spin on it. Because yes, in the 1860s, homosexuality was not a craze. It wasn't an accepted trend by any means.
So you're saying let's reinterpret the 14th Amendment to?
Well, that's what the Supreme Court does.
Yeah, unfortunately, they do. Well, they often redefine. Unfortunately, they redefine the Constitution when we, the people, are supposed to be the authors of the Constitution, not 9 unelected judges who, that's the idea. The founding fathers wrote Article 5 into the Constitution, and Article 5 says you can change anything, almost anything you want in this Constitution, as long as the Congress proposes it by 2/3 majority and 3/4 of the states ratify it.
Right.
But we haven't redefined our Constitution to say that there is a federal constitutional right for gay couples to have to redefine marriage or to have an alternative form of marriage. And there's nothing in the Constitution that says that the federal Constitution trumps the state's definition of marriage. So that's why I think it's a tough legal argument to make.
And it is, but at the same point in time, the Constitution does state that every individual, as a U.S. citizen, does have the right and equal protection of life, liberty, and happiness.
It says the life, liberty, and happiness is in the Declaration of Independence, but it does says every person has equal protection under the law. Where you cannot deny someone equal protection under the law, and so that's why I say the law says you and I, we all have the right, and everybody else has the right to get married. You can't tell someone you don't have the right to get married. Now there is even,
but you can tell them who they can get married to.
Well, you're just
like it needs a little bit of interpretation, maybe over the years. I mean, let's move into modern times.
But in the definition of marriage is a definition of what the definition itself entails some limitation on, you can't get married to an animal, you can't get married to a second wife or a second husband, you can't get married to someone of the same sex. So it's like saying, I would like to, let me think of an example. Don't accuse me of, statutory rape because I don't think having sexual relations with a person who's very young is statutory rape. Someone who believes in that kind of practice, and you can say, that person would say, I have an equal right to my sexual preferences like that, and I just want to redefine what statutory rape is. You have no right to define it that way, to exclude me or to punish me. I mean, it's the same thing. You could do that with any crime and say, or any activity, and say, well, yeah, you're discriminating against me because I have a preference that the majority disfavors.
And I understand your point very well, but unfortunately, two people consensually, just of the same sex, and that's the only issue at hand right now, is that they are of the same sex. Those people are trying to enter into a institution that, yes, traditionally has been considered between men and women. Unfortunately, it's never actually defined as that anywhere. And you're comparing things. You're comparing this
the polygamy comparison,
desire of two people. You're comparing this to rape right now.
I'm making a legal analogy. I'm saying I was not comparing it. I'm not comparing homosexual activity to rape.
Your analogy that it's
okay. Then go back to, if you don't like that analogy, then go back to the polygamy analogy. Three people would like to enter into a marital relationship, and they make the same legal argument you're making, Blair, and that is, look, you're discriminating against us because we would like to redefine marriage, and you're not allowing us to quote unquote marry because the majority of the people in Kansas and Missouri, you have defined marriage in a way that excludes us. That is the precise same argument that is being made. I'm not comparing the practices of polygamy and gay marriage. I am legally comparing the legal argument. And I'm not comparing the practices of gay marriage and child rape. I'm comparing the legal argument. And the argument is, I get to redefine, because I think that you're discriminating against me, I get to redefine a legal term. And I'm redefining marriage, or I'm redefining whatever term I want. And so it doesn't work. It doesn't, legally speaking, it doesn't work.
What is discrimination then? Discrimination is a moving term.
No, the Supreme Court, though, has termed discrimination that is forbidden by the Equal Protection Clause is discriminate. That's where it goes to where you're choosing a characteristic of a person and denying him or her the equal protection of a law. So you're saying to a person, because of his skin color, you cannot vote. Or you're saying to a person, because of his sex, you cannot, or her sex, you cannot own property. That is
or you cannot marry. I think that falls directly in the lines of discrimination.
The law doesn't say you cannot marry, though. It just says you can marry, but marry means enter into a relationship of this nature with someone of the opposite sex. I mean, that's where we get into this question of.
And it is a problem. Like, there is actually no real definition. I mean, when they were making these laws, yes, again, gay marriage was not a big deal. Homosexuality was not a thing. Heterosexuality was the way of the times, and they say man and woman, and that's great. But however, it's never actually defined that you can't marry within your own same sex. It's never actually defined, and that's
but now it is. But no, you're right. I mean, Blair, you're right. Before the Goodridge case in 2003 in Massachusetts, most states did not have a definition of marriage in the state constitution. But the Goodridge case, encouraged states all over the country to say, oh, we better define marriage because now there's this effort nationally to redefine marriage. So we're going to make clear that the historical long-standing definition is the definition that we have in our state. So that's that's why all these states, there was that wave from 2004 through the present where state after state after state said, okay, we're going to define marriage the traditional way. Here it is. So what's wrong with that?
As states might be able to do that, I guess, and you say what's wrong with that, and that's fine. I guess my biggest question would be, what is the problem with allowing two people that want to enter into the institution of marriage to be married, regardless of their sex?
Well, there are all kinds of...
What's the problem with that?
Well,
what is this going to do? Public policy-wise, legally-wise, what is this really going to do?
Well, there are all kinds of legal.
What is the problem with it?
Okay, well, different people would have different answers to your question because all the people of Missouri and all the people of Kansas voted on that same question. And some
we're
people
in a very Bible belty, and I'm a Bible Belton gun fanatic myself, you know.
Okay, so one person might say, well, the problem is the New Testament book of Romans makes clear that that's not okay. Another person might say, well, the problem for me is that it, if you define gay marriage on equal terms as you create an institution of gay marriage, which has to be then equal to traditional marriage, then adoptions, you can't discriminate in putting a child in an adoptive family, gay couple versus straight couple. Another person might say, well, I think it will change if you create an institution of gay marriage by redefining gay marriage, it'll change the way that subject is taught in schools. I mean, people have different reasons, but they're all legitimate reasons, I think, aren't they?
I think there's also just as many legitimate reasons on the opposite side, though. That's the thing.
And that's what the people.
Why can't everyone listen to everybody and decide?
And we did.
We did
that. We heard all the arguments. We heard all the arguments in both Kansas and Missouri, and a few years ago, we all voted, and the traditional definition of marriage won out.
But we consider Missouri and Kansas as quite conservative states.
But
correct?
so did even in California, though. Even in California,
I
it won
know.
out.
I don't even know how that happened. Right? Like what? What is going on there?
There are only two states of all the 30. It's like up to like 37 or so, 35 or 37 states. There are only two states that have voted. When this issue was on the ballot, voted to redefine marriage to include gay marriage, and those were, if I'm remembering correctly, Maryland and Washington, I think. And so it's the vast majority of states have said no, traditional marriage is how we're going to do it. But I really appreciate the questions, Blair. We got a bunch of other people wanting to talk, so let me let some others in on the conversation. Let's go next to thank you, and let's go next to Ed in Grain Valley. Ed, you're on with Kris Kobach. What do you think?
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thanks. How you doing?
Just on this issue, isn't there a right of free association in the Constitution?
Yes, there is. Yes.
Of like-mindedness have the right to associate. What I'm thinking of is the way with the chaos. Do I have the right to set up community, and that community has certain easements and requirements where you have only, say, married couples with children? To exclude gay people. Can you set up that? Because I'm seriously thinking of that.
To set up a community, are you talking about like a neighborhood?
A neighborhood, like you got these neighborhood associations, and they tell you how high your grass is and stuff like that.
Within limits, there. Well, yes. Okay, this gets that would be a perfect law school test because, first of all, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights and the Equal Protection Clause only restrict state action, right? So they restrict how a state treats you and how the law treats you. And the first argument out of the box would be that a homes association is not a government entity, and so they can do whatever they want. That would be their first argument. But let's just set that aside. Say that somehow it was defined as a government entity. Could they do that? Then the next argument would be, that you can't. There was an old case. It's from like the 70s or 80s, in which a city tried to limit the number of people, unrelated people, who could live in the same home. And the Supreme Court struck that down. And so that precedent would be used to say, no, your homes association can't do that because you're effectively trying to control people's right to live with one another. And these I'm not aware of any state that says a person can't live with another person of the same sex.
Yeah.
Yep. And but your other point about the right of free association, the challenges to the traditional marriage laws of the various states are almost always based on an equal protection theory, either under the U.S. Constitution or under the relevant state constitution. Rarely they'll sometimes throw in a free association claim, but the free association right under the First Amendment has never been interpreted so broadly as to. You have the right to associate in terms of. I'm going to join a political party. I'm going to join a club. I'm associating publicly with, this group. It hasn't been defined so broadly as to cover the right to enter into a marital relationship.
Right. Well, but if I set up like a club and it's only for married couples, with children, something like that,
Oh, yeah, you can do that. You can absolutely set up a club, a private club. I mean, just a group of people. We call ourselves the Married with Children Club, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, there's still that right to do that. I mean, there's no prohibition on setting up an association, an organization, a party that wants to exclude some people. That's part of the right to free association. You freely decide who you associate with and who you do not associate with.
Okay.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for the call. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in a few minutes, and we'll continue talking about this, and also want to talk briefly about another really interesting issue in front of the Supreme Court, and that is the Voting Rights Act, Section 5, which was argued this week. If you have any thoughts on it, 576-7710, call now during the break. You're listening to the Kris Kobach Show on KCMO Talk Radio 710.
KCMO Talk Radio 710 and at 103.7 FM, the new home of the Mike Huckabee Show.
And you really do wonder, what does all the blood, the sweat, the tears, the tax dollars that we've invested, what has it accomplished if we've traded one level of persecution for another? And why is our government so silent about it?
Mike Huckabee, weekdays 11 till 2 on KCMO Talk Radio 710 and now 103.7 FM.
Ladies, are any of these symptoms familiar? Weight gain, hot flashes, rapid heartbeat, night sweats? How about fatigue, nausea, low energy? Or what about sleeplessness, low libido, and fat storage, especially around the belly area? If you're a woman over 40 experiencing any of these symptoms, you probably have hormonal imbalance. And until you balance your hormones, it'll be practically impossible to get rid of these problems. But you're in luck because Amberen is the all-natural formula clinically shown to cause sustained weight loss in women over 40 with no big change in lifestyle. Amberen restores hormonal balance in women over 40, so the extra pounds fall away and the other symptoms simply disappear. To receive a complimentary risk-free trial with a free 30-day supply, just be one of the first 50 callers right now at 1-800-607-1909. Free supplies are limited, so be one of the first callers right now at 1-800-607-1909. That's 1-800-607-1909.
Hey, this is Dr. Axe. Are you wanting to burn fat and lose weight fast? If so, check out BurstFit.com. BurstFit is a home fitness program where you can exercise in just 20 minutes a day and get in the best shape of your life. It combines the principles of weight training, core exercises, along with interval training to help you lose weight fast. The program is designed to help you lose 20 pounds in just 30 days. If you're wanting to lose 20 pounds or more very, very quickly, hey, this is the program for you. It also comes with a nutrition guide, an eating plan, and a fitness calendar. So check out BurstFit.com today. That's BurstFit, BurstFit.com. Again, if you're looking to lose 20 pounds in 30 days, you want to look and feel younger, and you want to get in the best shape in your life, then check out BurstFit by going to BurstFit.com.
Hey, let me ask you, do you have cracks above your doors and windows, or maybe cracks in your concrete basement areas or walls? We did at our house, and we knew that by letting them go and getting worse, they'd end up costing us nothing but money. Want to tell you about a company that worked in our home and solved all of our problems. The May Development Company. Could not be happier with their work, the complete job they did. May Development Company has been serving the greater Kansas City area for over 50 years. May Development Company repairs Boeing foundation walls, concrete basement settlement problems by piering. They repair basement leakage. Hey, they also repair stone and block foundations. They replace or mudjack concrete flatwork, and their work is absolutely guaranteed. Their estimates are free. Why don't you give the folks down at the May Development Company a call at 816-561-9391. Again, that number is 816-561-9391. And remember, do things the right way, and the right way is the May way.
This is Greg Patterson, owner of the Uptown Arts Bar.
And this is Jasper Mirabli, owner of Jasper's Restaurant. We are all saddened by the recent tragedy of JJ's Restaurant.
One of the greatest aspects of this city is we come together to help one another. Join JJ's staff, patrons, and friends this Tuesday night at the Uptown Theater for a night of great music featuring the Late Night Callers, David Georgian and Crooked Mile, Megan Birdsall, and many more artists.
This benefit concert is in support of JJ's employees impacted by the tragedy. Join us along with the former Chiefs player Eddie Kennison, KCTV5's Kelly Jones, and many others.
We hope to see you this Tuesday night at the Uptown Theater. Get tickets at Ticketmaster.com or visit Facebook.com/Friends of JJ's for more information.
Ever had your bank issue you a new debit, ATM, or credit card, but you didn't request one? That's probably because someone hacked the bank's computer system, and your bank is trying to stay one step ahead of the identity thieves who snatched your personal information. And that's why you need to call LifeLock now. When you call LifeLock, you can get the most comprehensive identity theft protection available, LifeLock Ultimate. LifeLock Ultimate offers 24/7 protection and is the only identity theft protection service that now monitors bank accounts for takeover fraud. So call 1-800-964-1741 now. Mention Enroll60 and get the first 60 days risk-free. If you're not happy, call LifeLock within 60 days of enrollment and you won't pay a cent. Call 1-800-964-1741. 1-800-964-1741. Check LifeLock.com for details. Network does not cover all transactions and scope may vary. 1-800-964-1741.
Welcome back to the Kris Kobach Show on KCMO Talk Radio 710. We've been talking about the Obama administration's Justice Department decision to weigh in on the Proposition 8 gay marriage case. Interesting discussion in the past segment. Let's go next to Danny in Shawnee. Hey, Danny, you're on with Kris Kobach. What do you think?
Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
Well, the effort to, instill gay marriage falls under the category of special rights, which if denied are not does not constitute discrimination. I've had to go through a lot of this in some of my pro se litigation with the city of Kansas City and various things, including my street musician activity throughout the years and everything, and so that's one of the things I do in entertainment. But the institution itself, of marriage began in the church. This is for the callers before, began in the church, and it was and it has served the population adequately. So there was no overriding concern, which that in the Constitution that is. There has to be an overriding concern to change something.
Right. It began as a religious institution, but then as government started treating, started forming the welfare state, necessitated, defining who's married, who's not married. And so the state has to then come in. And then, of course, our Constitution allows people to get married even if you're not a member of a church. And so you have to have a civil definition of marriage, not just a religious one. So, yeah, there are lots of reasons why this religious institution had to become a civic institution.
Well, I have something for you.
Okay, on this. Real quick. We've got about 30 seconds.
Okay. If the thing goes to the Supreme Court, when all of the states were voting against it, the Supreme Court could have taken on the case and just completely put it to rest right then and there. And as for this, did you hear on the break that McCain was beginning to say we're vulnerable now to security issues, and we better start redealing on this sequester thing, which I didn't think it sounded like a good sign. But I don't know if you happen to hear that.
I didn't hear his comment over the break. No.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, I mean, this is it's true the Supreme Court could have taken other cases that have come up to the court. I mean, usually the court waits until the right time to take it. But bottom line is it's a really tough legal argument to make, to say that, as you say, a person seeking a special right to redefine the institution of marriage should be able to trump the decision of the majority of voters in more than 30 states, and specifically here in California. They are defining marriage, and the person is saying, well, I have the right to redefine what marriage means, and it has to be a broader definition. So it's a tough argument to make, but I think that another point, the Obama administration doesn't need to be making it with our tax dollars when they're claiming that they have to release illegal alien criminals onto the streets. Hey, Danny, thank you so much for the call. Sorry to Jeff and George who are hanging on. I was going to get to the Voting Rights Act arguments. I think what I'll do is I'll cover that next week, guys. So we'll talk about what the Supreme Court talked about this past week on next week's show. Very interesting arguments in the Voting Rights Act case. We are out of time. You've been listening to the Kris Kobach Show on KCMO Talk Radio 710.